Hi guys, Russian Sparky here. So without further ado, I'll show you a very nice haul of Soviet-made hand tools. And I owe this great collection to my good friend Bogdan. Bogdan, thank you so much, buddy, for sending these over. These came just last month from Mother Russia. These are Soviet-made tools. There is more. I mean, there's more than the screwdrivers. I'll start out slowly, and I'll show you the rest as we go along. These were pretty popular, and they haven't changed the way they looked. These Bakelite handled screwdrivers. As you can see, the flat blades are very popular, the cabinet tip, and the Phillipses were a lot less popular. If you looked at a toolbox of that era, these would be heavily dominant. Another thing you'll notice that each one of these has a price stamped on them. That is right, comrades. In the Soviet economy, the prices were set and predetermined by the government. So these factories, this one was made in Chelyabinsk. This one is spelled CHIZ, Chelyabinsk Instrumentalny Zavod. I keep saying that. So the tool making factory in Chelyabinsk. So is this one. So they haven't changed the design, I guess, from one generation to the next. Maybe slightly different material for the handle, and the price is stamped right there, 70 kopecks, which back in the day would roughly equal to maybe $1, but that was much bigger money for a Russian worker than it would be here in the US. This is an attempt to make an insulated screwdriver. More than an attempt. Many electricians were using them just like this. And back then, this belonged to an electrician, no doubt about it. There was no heat shrink. This was made in the 70s or the 80s. What they would do is they would take like an outer jacket from a cable, they'd soak it in acetone, slip it on, let it dry, and it would shrink as it would dry. So I guess chem shrink, not heat shrink. That would make a pretty nice insulated screwdriver, just like this one. 65 kopecks, 190 times 1.0. Well, 190 is the length. 190 is the length. 190 millimeters, or roughly, I should say, 8 inches, give or take, maybe 7.5. This is a bigger specimen. This one is interesting. This one is copper coated, copper plated. It's steel core with copper outer sheath. This is for environments where you cannot produce any sparks. If you were to hit metal on metal, steel. If you hit it on steel, it might produce sparks. If you're working in an explosive environment where there are vapors, flammable dust, you can't afford that. So, hence the copper coated blades on screwdrivers. The advantage of Soviet production, even though it was all planned economy, no real market drivers to improve the product was already pretty good, at least the materials, because they were made on factories where they would produce military and industrial equipment. So it was all mil spec or heavy industrial spec. They really didn't bother creating separate set of alloys and technologies for producing hand tools. So a lot of times, I guess, household grade tools would be made to an industrial or military specifications with the same precision, out of the same materials, by the same set of people, right? This is a pretty nice precision screwdriver. And these are all pretty much, most of what you see is the new old stock. So these are vintage classics, but in pretty much a new condition with the original paperwork. This one tells me that, at least the stamp tells me that this one was produced and QC'd, quality checked, in 1974. This thing is, 46 years old. The blade has the same tip on both sides. That is to flip it around when it wears out, when it gets dull, so you can continue working with it. But make no mistake, they would never throw these things out. They would resharpen it, put it back into service. And this handle, which you won't probably see that much these days, holds more tips. Very well made, very well machined. This screwdriver would serve really well even today. And again, the fact that it came with the original paperwork makes it that much more valuable. I would not, want to work with it daily, but yeah, if I needed a precision screwdriver, sure, I'd use one of these. This one is a slightly smaller example of that, and again, something you don't see a lot these days. Same tip on both ends. One goes dull, or in the middle of your workday, you happen to damage it somehow, flip it around, keep working, sharpen it later. They would not toss a screwdriver like this, they would resharpen it, put it back to use. This is an interesting specimen. This is a part of a military toolkit. A toolkit that came with a Nagin revolver. Nagin revolvers, actually their replicas were made in Soviet Russia in the 1930s. This is in a pristine shape. This wood handle is pretty clean. This was probably never used. Cabinet tip on both ends, flat tip on both ends. One is thinner, one is thicker. In great shape. This one is a treat. Check this out. It's in a brand new shape. In fact, it is brand new. It looks brand new. It smells brand new. Comes with the original paperwork at 2 rubles and 50 kopecks, which again, back in the day equaled to roughly $3 to $4. With the original paperwork. OTK means quality control, quality checker number 1, article number such and such, standard, technical standard such and such, price, the date of manufacture, November 27th, 1972. This thing is 48 years old. Look at how good a shape it's in. This is the handle, and assorted blades for it. I'll show you what's there. Phillips number 2, Phillips number 1. This is an awl. Cabinet tip, 1/4 inch. Another awl. A small cabinet tip, looks like a 3 millimeter, 2 millimeter, and a mid-sized one. How cool is that? Brand new, never used. Old new stock, guys. I remember growing up in the good old USSR, and my grandpa in his toolkit had a set like that. This is brand new, well, in a brand new condition. 48 years old. Another great example of old new stock. This here says a universal screwdriver. Still in the original packaging. I suspect the bubble wrap is the later edition, but check this out. Again, the original paperwork. It says the instruction manual talks about what blades it has. Again, the now familiar to you, the OTK, the quality controller number 412. November 30th. I look closer. It says 1969. This thing is 51 years old. In a brand new shape. Hammer finish. 2 rubles and 20 kopecks. KTMZ. That's the factory that it was made at. Well, by today's standards, it's highly universal. Look at it, still in a factory with a factory lubricant on it. All it has is 3 different flat blades, but this thing meant business. Back in the day, this was as one of my favorite bloggers says, cat's pajamas. Look at this. It's very comfortable. The way it sits in your hand, it's got a substance. It's weighty, but not too heavy, and I would bet you it would make for a pretty strong screwdriver. By the way, they made this screwdriver at the same factory they used to make plane turbines. I would imagine the material, it's again, industrial strength, industrial grade assembly and materials. That's what makes these so great. Another amazing example of old new stock. Look at this toolkit, still in the original waxed paper from the factory with the original paperwork. April 24th, 1974. It's a little ripped. Kit number 14. Hand tool kit number 14. Not sure what kits 1 through 13 were like, but this one consists of 2 different screwdrivers and combination pliers, as it says here, combination pliers. Let's look at it. Both are flat tipped, still in the original factory wrapping, waxed paper and all. 1/4 inch, and the one's smaller, one size smaller. I'd imagine it's like a 3mm. And look at these, brand new combination pliers. It's a bit of rust, but they've never been used. I can tell from the cutting surface. I see one mark there, but that's just maybe from a test cut that they had to make at the factory to test them. They feel substantial. I would bet this steel is pretty good. Again, these were made at the factories that produced heavy machinery and military equipment. So they would have to make these with the same set of skills, to the same spec, and out of the same materials as that high grade Soviet stuff. So USSR's industrial production was not bad at all. These are pretty well made. And going with the good old best for last kind of principle. Look at this. You might say, well, what is this? Is this an oversized screwdriver? Well, perhaps. It's a ratchet screwdriver. So it's got the, well, familiar to you, reversible mechanism. By the way, I got this one brand new, again in a factory wrapping, still covered in factory oil. I cleaned it up. In my Russian channel video, I have the wrapped version of it. In the spirit of full disclosure, I have to say that I've haphazardly made this tip because the original tip was missing. This is about how the original tips were shaped on the back end, but they were round. I had to shave off these edges to make it fit, but it fits kind of nicely. So you might say, okay, no big deal, you got a huge screwdriver, so what's the big hoopla all about? Well, check this out. It's more than a screwdriver. It's semi-automatic. All right, you might ask, what do you mean by that? Well, check this out. It's set right now to drive a screw. Let me adjust the camera just a little bit. There we go. One-inch screw. No effort. Virtually no effort. Same thing in reverse. All right. How about a 2-inch screw? No problem, comrades. Again, very, very little effort. This thing is about 50 years old. Of course, we're kind of spoiled by modern civilization, and you might think, what's the big deal? All right. Semi-automatic screwdriver. Well, I have a battery-powered one. Sure, we all do, but when we run out of batteries and there's no power, well, this is your power tool. Again, this thing is pretty amazing. It was pretty amazing for its day. Like I said, it's they've been manufacturing them, you know, over the past 60 years. I wouldn't be surprised if they still make them, but this particular specimen is from about 50 years ago. So there you have it, guys. I hope you liked it. I try to keep it short but interesting. Any questions, suggestions, put them down below in the comments. Like, dislike, recommend, share. Other than that, thanks for everything, guys. Thanks for watching. Take care.